The idea here is for all of us to benefit and improve where we're at using digital music and improve our flexibility, our comfort level, perhaps as much as getting into some really technical aspects. It just kind of depends on where everybody is at this time. First of all, is there anybody here that is thinking, that you're at the stage where you're only thinking about getting a laptop and going digital at this point? Anybody at that point? Okay, so every single one of us in here is currently using some form of digital music, is that correct? Okay, how many of us purchase and download songs from the internet? Okay, yeah, I mean, if you do one or more is good. How many of you convert from vinyl at this point? You're gonna love Don's presentation on just that a little bit later on. Okay, how many people here have ever uttered the word, "Where did I put it?" Or "My square view can't find it. What do I do? Oh my."
Or what did I name it?
Yeah. All right, so I think, again, how many people here are completely comfortable with file management windows? How many of you are lying?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, file management for Windows. If the answer is what are you talking about? Yeah, your
Windows Explorer, File Explorer, so you can look at your hard drive, see what's where.
Once again, how many are feel very comfortable with that? All right, so about half and half. Okay, so real quick, what happens is you acquire a digital file from something. Okay, you purchase it from a website, you get your package deal of the year and you burn it, you rip it from a CD into an MP3, or you download the MP3 version, or you've converted after judiciously cleaning up the record, doing some tricks that he's going to show you, and you wind up with these music files that are all just pristine, and then you go, okay, I'm going to put them somewhere. For those of you that are very comfortable with file management, File Explorer, where do you put your music?
My music?
My music under your profile.
My singers or my patter.
Okay. And what directory is what folder is your My Music folder in? It's your personal library?
My personal library, yeah.
And if you keep going, would not it have something along the lines of users, perhaps your name, /something, /something? I put mine in the directory C:\patter, C:\singer, okay? Because that sticks them down in the root drive of the thing, and it doesn't matter what profile happens to be running on the machine, that can be accessed. All right, so we'll go from there on that, and Brad, why don't you say something?
I'm Brad Caldwell from Georgetown, Texas, and I really don't know what I'm doing on the panel, except that they did ask me to address something a little later, and we'll get to that for those. Just one question, how many here use SQMP3 for your player? Okay, so we'll get together in a little while so that we can talk to each other, and I hope to learn as much from you as you learn from me, and I'll probably learn more from you than you learn from me about how to use SQMP3 Gold. For those that don't know, it's one of the digital music players. SQMP3 Gold is one of the digital music players that is in use by callers, designed by a caller for callers. I select a different location for my files. I actually put my files on a thumb drive. I back them up to my hard drive, but I actually put the files, my music files, on a thumb drive. That way, if I'm coming to work with Rick, I'm coming to work with Don, or I'm coming to work with whomever, I can just take my thumb drive and say, here, point the thing at this for a minute, and we'll use these songs. And that way, we don't have to copy songs back and forth. And then assuming that I'm working with somebody who didn't have the music that's on my thumb drive. They don't have to copy it to their computer, and then I have to trust that they're going to delete the file that we just used because they don't really have a right to it. And I think that that's something that's really important to address in all of this, is that when we buy an MP3 from one of these fellows or any of the other music producers, we have the right to use that song. We have the right to perform that song with anybody we want to perform it with. We do not have the right to share that song with anybody else. As a matter of fact, we're breaking the law when we do that. So please keep that in mind. These guys spend a lot of money producing music, and as do all of the music producers. And what's that?
We're self.
You're patting each other on the back.
Self-gratifying, but that's not.
But
The reality is, we just figured a way to go broke quicker.
yeah, so we can't expect them to continue to produce music if they sell a copy and off that one copy, 10 people have a copy. Ain't right, guys. So please remember that it's called piracy and that we need to avoid it at all costs. Having said that, as I said, I just save mine to a thumb drive, and I have it in subfolders on that thumb drive so that I can easily find it. And I'll pass it back to Rick.
Yeah, so you see the idea, what we're kind of getting is, how many people here use Cedar Square Dance system? Anybody? Quite a few? Okay, you get to hang with me and teach me how to use this stupid thing. Don will be doing the presentation on SquareView. How many use SquareView? Okay. How many use Digital Music Magician? You know what? I am not familiar with the program, but I'll bet you that I could get a volunteer from this audience, and if you had some specific questions, I'd just be willing to bet you. I'm just willing to bet. You see the really old guy, I mean the, stand up, Bill. Yeah, him. That's Bill Hyman, y'all. He's the fellow who used to own Dosado.com and used to own Supreme On, well, you know, and he would sell you all this stuff, and he, along with Pat Carnathan, kind of put together the initial idea of being able to download MP3 music, and he is the author of Digital Music Magician. So if you have that particular platform, is there anybody else using any other platform? What do you use?
I am the author of a new program available for Mac and Windows, which is available for free for everybody. It's called Square Desk.
Square Desk.
Square Desk.
Cool. Okay, so if you're interested in Macintoshing,
Yep. There's also a Windows version, and
also
very shortly there will be a Linux version.
oh, I heard something about that.
And it's open source, so if any of you are programmers, you can play with it.
So for the tape, or for the MP3,
Your name is?
My
Your
name's
name?
Mike Pogue, Sunnyvale, California.
Mike Pogue, Sunnyvale, California, and he has a new program called Square Desk that will be available for Mac, Windows, and soon to be Linux.
Yes.
Is that right?
And if you go to squaredesk.net,
SquareDesk.net, and it's free.
it is free. And it includes a copy of SD as well.
Includes a copy of SD with it.
Somebody know what SD
There is a chair up here or two for those standing in the back if you want to come use them.
What? And heckle from where you can't see all the reactions. All right, so anyway, Don is our SD is a program that Bill Ackerman wrote, if I'm not mistaken, and Lynette distributes on her website. It's a virtual checkers thing. Other options or other variations on that. I know CSDS has some software that allows you to write choreography. Reinhold is in the vendors area with Callerlab, and that's just another one. So anyway, ask about those. That's not exactly what the panel's about, but we'll tell you which one we use if we do. So anyway, all the way from Olympia, Washington, where the beer tastes better. This is Mr. Don Wood.
So I too put my music in a different spot. Now you might ask why. Because you have my music and the profiles under documents, etc., etc., etc. Every piece of music that you get goes there. I don't want my Square Dance music there. I want my Square Dance music in a folder. So in my case, I have a folder under SQView that says MP3. And under MP3, I have a folder that says singing calls. And under MP3, I have a segments folder that says Hoedown, and one that says Other Music, and one that says Line Dances, and all of that stuff, so it comes along. So that's just file configuration. I want to talk to you about some other aspects. So how many of you own 3,000 records that are, you know, and you got that one favorite one, you want it, and nobody's producing it on an MP3 file for you, and you want to get it and you want to put it on in your program. So this demonstration is to talk to you about a couple of things. How do you do that? And it's kind of awkward to spend hours and hours tweaking that file. I'm going to show you today how to do it in batch mode. So I can record 100 files, put them in a folder, put them in batch mode, set up edits in batch mode, and then push the button, go have a beer and watch the football game, because that's what I can do. I'm going to speak specifically about Gold Wave, and that's the product I use, but I happen to know Audacity does something similar. Okay, how many of you buy an MP3 file and you go to your dance and you play it, then you play the next one, and the two volumes are just so far out of sync to one another? Yeah, well, but we can fix that. Or I bought this file and it's got 5 seconds of lead-in dead space, and everything else has got, or the next one has no dead space. Well, maybe you want them all to have the same amount. We can do that. And lo and behold, we can do it in batch mode. So here's where we start. Okay, this is the program. You're going to have to record. Now let me take it 2 ways. If you're recording from vinyl, you have 2 choices. You can record into a WAV file, or today they offer these nice MP3 turntables. So you can put a turntable up that delivers the song directly to your computer in an MP3 format. You pick. Same problems exist. You're going to have the scratches, you're going to have the pops, you're going to have the hisses, you're going to have all the stuff. So what do you need to do that? Well, you're going to connect your turntable to a computer through a cable. And it should be, I gotta get my glasses on anymore.
One of those out in the hallway.
Yeah, it should be a good, solid, professional quality cable. Don't go down to Rack Shack and buy the $1.98 cable. Not good for you, okay? Secondly, you're gonna have to have a good set of headphones. Not cheap ones. And I recommend a set of headphones first. Okay, and then your copy of Gold Wave, of course. There are do's and don'ts about this. Do not use an amplified input into your computer. If you have an expensive audio card, and I take my MA150 out on the amplified side and I plug it into the audio card, guess what happens? I no longer have an audio card. It's simple. It blows up. What do? You take it and take it from your low impedance output. So on the back of your MA150, or if you have anything like that, you have a headphones jack, or you have that thing that says high and low on the back, take it from one of those. That's where you put it, okay? Real simple. Now, what happens next? You gotta figure out where you're gonna put your storage, where you're gonna put your music. So we created a file called music. And you notice I have batch output, and other things. But I got this one called music, and I put that under my Gold Wave processing, because I'm just getting started. Okay? You want a good set of headphones, we said that already. Once you have this all connected and you've got your music folder set up, you're going to want to begin the processing process, if you will. Gold Wave will be the product. I'm going to discuss it doing that. You're going to create two folders under Gold Wave. One is called batch and one is called batch output. The batch folder will be where you put your newly recorded songs. So if you create a music file, and I've recorded 100 songs in my music file, now I'm going to move them, not cut them, but I'm going to copy them into my batch folder. Why? I'm not going to cut them because that deletes them. If I screw something up, I want the source. I don't want to have to go back and do it again. Okay? The next step in the process is to, as I said, move the files. And let me go back to where I'm at. Start Goldwave. So Goldwave comes up and you begin to record your music. And it's going into Goldwave, into the folder you told it to go to.
The batch output.
Well, you're going, not the output. Right now, we're going to the music file, the one we created, because that's the gold source. I don't want to have to do that again.
Where's your handouts?
Up here, I think.
We have them in the back.
Can I have one too, please?
I'll take one, please.
Holy mackerel, I don't know if we got it.
So this is a picture of Goldwave. This is what I use.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Goldwave costs $47. I bought it 20 years ago. It still costs $47. And all the updates have been made for free. Okay? You're going to select, we're starting recording now. This is not processing, batch processing yet. We're just recording. So you're going to select a new file. You notice I've got a red circle on it right up here on the corner. And you want to set the quality to 44-100. That's a CD quality song. And I recommend 5 minutes per song. Okay? Under the file location, open, so once we've recorded all of our songs, let's start with that. We've got down and we've sat down and we spent hours and hours putting the music into these folders. Then I copied them into the batch folder, because this is my source where I'm going to do the batch work. Okay? So from there, I'm going to open up the batch processing function. You see it right down here? And in the batch processing function, a window is going to open. In that window, we're going to select add, we're going to select the source tab. Where's the music coming from? Well, it's coming from my music file, or my batch file where I put it. That's where I'm getting my music to put in here. And then I'm going to select the add files function, and I'm going to add file. I'm sorry. File Explorer will open, navigate to the batch folder in Goldwave, and that's where your music is now located. That's the pre-processed music, not the stuff that we're going to end with, okay? Use a Control-A to select all the files.
We need it back here.
And then hit the add button, and the add button in Goldwave is going to put them into the files that we're going to process against. Okay? So now all I've done is I've created my files by using a turntable or an MP3, whatever the case may be. And by the way, you don't have to just use a turntable. If you bought MP3 files and you want to make your MP3 files normalized on your laptop, that is to say you want to make them all be the same, whether I record it or not, put them in there, okay? Next, we're gonna click add. Once we're done there, we're gonna select the processes that we want this thing to do, and there are a ton, okay? So, you see this area in the corner? I'm getting really old, I can't see that, but these are the effects processes in Goldwave I can add to this batch process window. And we're ready to select the batch process we want to run. Let me get back to that slide before. Okay, so I choose to do the following. First thing they do is trim out any noise below 3 dB on the front end and the back end of the file. I don't want to have anything, just silence. Secondly, I come down and the first thing I run is a pop click filter. Getting rid of all my pops, all my clicks, and you can choose in GoldWave to do it from the default position, from a passive position, or from an aggressive position. Each one you choose may have a different effect on it. I tend to use the passive. It gets rid of most of the pops and clicks. Yes.
And to get rid of the pops and clicks faster, smoother, is before you do any of that is to physically take that 45 RPM record and get yourself some Dove or some, dish soap of some kind. Lukewarm water, wash it, rinse it, air dry it, chamois it. Okay? Literally, that's going to do 3/4 of your pop and click removal every time. It seems silly, but it's true every time.
So back on this page, I've also told GoldWave, my source is over here in the batch files. My destination is over in the batch output files. I've also told it, what's the file format I want? Well, I want more than MP3. Do you want to do MP3 128 kps? I don't. So mine are always MP3 256 kps. 192 is a nice substitute, but 256 for me is what I like. Okay? So now I've told it where to start from and where's it going to land. The next step is, like I said, is I'm going back here and I'm going to tell it, what do I want done? First thing I want to do is I want to trim that excess silence off. I don't want that. Yep. Secondly, I'm going to go in and it'll do it because you're telling it to trim off anything less than this. So if it sees it on the front or the back, it's going to trim it. The next thing I go in is I tell it no pops and clicks, or get my pops and clicks down. The third piece is a bandpass filter. It's a high filter. And in this filter, I can take out hums, hisses, all of those things. And there's defaults in every one of them. So I can take a light rumble, light hiss, whatever I want. And that is one of the processes I add to my process windows. Now, we also have the ability in here to set information. Wouldn't you like to know the last time you updated that file? In the metadata for any MP3 file, there's an information tab in there. I can go into the batch process, I can set the information tab to say, I did this on April 11th, 2017. And all of the files within that will be noted as that, okay? It's not going to change the initial metadata, the name of the file and all of that, but it will give you an update to when you did that. Secondly, in the bandpass filter mode, as I said, I can take out all the rumbles and the hisses and all of that. The next step is, and it's that step we talked about, the volume. Some of them come in and they're huge, and some of them come in and they're quiet. I like all mine at minus 16 dB. There is a setting in the volume control to say, what do you want it at? And we set it to minus 16 dB. Once I'm done with that, the last step in my process is to add 1 second of silence in the front of that record. So it all starts in the same beat. Once I get that piece of it done, get back to where we're at. Here we start talking about the pop clip filter and remove the majority of the random pop sounds, etc. We're going to add a noise reduction to a very light hiss and rumble. We're going to add excess noise trims and initial noise. And then we're going to normalize the sound file. That's where we talk about the volume. Okay? So as I said, I like mine down here at the minus 16 dB. Next thing we're going to do is select the 16 dB tool, click add, that puts it in the process. We're gonna make sure that there's no clipping. So in GoldWave, there's a piece of the file that says remove the peaks or lower the peaks. And if you've ever looked at a waveform, and we're gonna look at one here in a minute, you look at the waveform and there's peaks up there, and if they go so far, that's called clipping. So we're gonna remove the peaks so there is no clipping. We're gonna add that second of silence in we talked about. And then we're gonna select the add edit tab, and we're inserting that silence at 1 second. So in every song will have 1 second of silence. When we get done with that, your batch window should look something like this. Those are the processes that we're going to run against this suite of files. Once we're done with that, we're going to set the process to convert the files. So if you record it to a wave, they're now going to come out MP3s. Okay? Once we're done there, and I should add, if you use this like I do, this all remains in your batch processing window unless you remove it. So if next week I go back with another 100 songs, I don't have to do this all over again. I'm done, it's already in there. We're converting to MP3. We know we're doing it 44 at 256. And we're going to choose the storage location. I talked to you about that. We're going to the batch output. Once it's there, we're going to the destination tab. As I said, we're going to navigate to the batch output folder that we created earlier. And then you're ready to start your batch processing. What's going to happen at that point in time, and there are a lot of additional switches I could add to this. You know, this is just the basic process. What's going to happen at that time is we're going to choose the information tab and replace the specified text I talked to you about so that metadata gets updated. And if any of these words are strange to you, hold your hand up and I'll explain them. And in the description, you want to enter the information you want. So I want to know when I updated my file last. I may want to know everything but the initial information on the file, like the record label and the number of that, because I'm not going to touch that. If it's in there at all. Not every producer puts it in there. Okay? Once we're done with that, we're going to press the begin button. The system is then going to take over, and it's going to start to process the files. And you'll see a screen like this come up. And it tells you each song that's going through, the processes that are running against it, and every time one of them passes, it'll show up in the box below. So when you get done, you hope that you see this, all of them there, and everything is passed. Once you've completed that, they're now ready to move into your singing call folder or whatever. So what does it do? Let's take a look at that. Here's an initial file. If you look at the upper waveform right here, you see how big that is and how it's crossing over, and we don't know what the file space is in front of this, and look at the back of it. It's not really very good, is it? I come down to the bottom one. That's after it's done all its batch processing. The wave file starts to look like we would want it to look. The pops and clicks are out of this. The sound has been normalized. There's a second of silence in front of it. This is all the things that we're doing in the background while we don't have to sit there and do it to each and every file ourselves. Okay? And questions? Yes, Henry.
Why don't we,
Yeah.
take that one. This would be Henry Grissett from beautiful downtown Burbank.
I borrowed Rick's microphone.
Close to Burbank, I'm from Los Angeles, but
Spell for me.
anyway, you go on GoldWave. I remember, well, few years ago, I was downloading some music from iTunes, and I was trying to use it in Gold Wave, and it was telling me that iTunes didn't recognize Gold Wave, and I was wondering if there's...
It would be the other way. The file is not recognized by Gold Wave. Okay, the iTunes file, depending upon the format that it's in, if it's not an MP3 file, if it's not a recognized WAV file, Gold Wave will ignore it. Be advised that some pieces of music, not necessarily square dance music, but some pieces of music are licensed and locked, and you cannot open them up in Gold Wave.
Okay, so that could that have been the problem? Because it was definitely telling me that iTunes was not did not recognize Gold Wave. So
The simplest
that'd be
way, yeah, what it is iTunes saves their music in an ID4 or something or another format. ID4? Yeah. And I understand you can buy converters, but personally, I just choose not to deal with Apple because that's why are they being such a pain in the butt.
MP4.
Yeah, Amazon, you can buy MP3s. So.
If you've got something in an MP4 format, everybody know what MP stands for? It's Motion Picture Industry. 3 MP3 files do nothing but remove all of the white noise above human hearing. MP4 is a different format of that, but it's more used for video. So online, there are lots of free MP4 to MP3 converters, and you can convert it online.
Steve from Bixville, New York.
Take your time.
Now I use iPod, but I do iTunes and iPod, but that's what I'm using to convert. And my problem, I didn't know that I could convert with the Gold Wave. I used to have Gold Wave on my laptop.
Well, let me back up and tell you again. Audacity can do just about everything Gold Wave does, if not everything. Audacity is a great program. The Round Apps carriers use it a lot. I've chosen to use Gold Wave over the years, and I'm getting pretty familiar with it over the last 25 years. Yes, sir. We get it.
No, just one real quick thing. Steve spoke to me actually this earlier. What he's coming up with is if you in Audacity, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Gold Wave, but in Audacity as many, you buy the record or acquire the recording software. A lot of it's freeware, but you also have to download a LAME encoder, LAME encoder, and drop it down and point your Audacity's. The Audacity will say, "Where's your MP3 encoder?" Yeah.
You have to do it with Gold Wave as well.
Yeah.
So you go out to Gold Wave's site if you're using Gold Wave, and they have a link to the LAME encoder.
Yep.
And that drops that DLL down, and then you put it in your Gold Wave file, and now what that allows you to do is to actually create MP3s after you have a WAV file.
Yes.
And you only do that once.
Well, yeah.
Just wanted to understand that.
Name and location, please.
Michael Thetting, Angier, North Carolina. Currently, I do use Audacity. I've been doing it for a while. Not a professional with it, but I want to focus on something that you addressed in Gold Wave, that you were saying move the file from your music in wherever you initially put it and drop it into batch. And then everything was directed to batch, and then it was I'm sorry.
The point is, I record the file at one location. Then I drop it into my batch folder, so this is still the gold copy of what I recorded. So if I have to go back and retrieve that because I either screwed something up with Gold Wave or something hiccuped or whatever the case may be, I still have a good copy. I don't have
That's
to
what I
go
wanted
report
to
it.
clarify, because I'm sure I saw it. You said move, and I was saying.
I went back and said copy. I want to leave those gold files there until I'm satisfied that the music is done.
And I will say, having used the batch processing multiple times. There are some songs that, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the way they were recorded, maybe it was something that I did, but after I processed them, I didn't like them. And I wanted to go back and be able to then individually tweak that one song, and that's the
That's
important
exactly
part
what we're talking
of why
about.
you keep it in, you keep one copy that's original, hadn't been touched yet.
Right.
And that's what I
Because you
wanted
sure
to
don't
do.
want to have to go back and record it again.
No, and if you've gone in and you listened to the file after you've done all your work in the batch mode and you don't like it, you always have the option, and this is one of the things I like about the program, is I've got the option to reload the song, and I can manually go through step by step. And if I didn't like what I heard, Control Z backs it out, and I can start over again.
One of the best things to do, this is the batch program that these folks are talking about, Don and Brad. The batch program merely, you set up the parameters, and then it just applies the same identical parameters to every single file in there. Now here's the thing, if you're not certain, which most of you probably are not certain, what the various parameters that can be fooled with, what I recommend is your first step after figuring out how to download this thing and get it somewhere where you can find it. I field so many phone calls from the label. I said, I downloaded your song, but I can't find it. Yeah, well, where did you put it? Well, I don't know. Anyway, but once this song, the first song or the first record that you create 45, put this in there and then play with the silly things, okay? You look in, what is it, under effects for Gold Wave?
Yeah.
I just got an evaluation.
It's up under, well, it's all of your edits. So you can go up in the edits and you can do this and that,
Okay,
and the other
gotcha.
thing.
Yeah.
The effects will bring you to other things you can do. All the batch processing does is give me pointers to those things that are already existing in the program. So rather than have to go in and say, I want to, trim off this, and now I go back and say, now I want to add a second of silence. Now I want to go back and I want to expand the envelope to minus 16 dB. Now I want to go back, and it allows me to do that in one process.
Right. But what I'm suggesting is with that very first file, and that is run it once through there and put some compression on it. And then listen to it. What did the compressor do? What happens if I turn the compression up? What happens if I turn it down? And same thing for any kind of parametric EQ, pop and hiss and click and stuff. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to, without knowing what's going to occur, just start piling on effects.
No, I agree. There's a learning curve,
Yeah.
and you should go and learn with a single song. What do you want to do? Because once you've got that process down, now you have a model for you to follow that you want. We have another question in the back.
Dennis Clark, Indiana. You have a batch process, a list of settings or edits that you want to do in a batch process, and you know that you want to use this one over and over.
Yes.
Is there a way to save those in Gold Wave?
When I go out of the batch mode, all of those processes that I put in there, in that step, they're saved.
It stays set up, man.
Unless I go back in and remove them. So I have a setup that I use routinely. And I go into Gold Wave and all I do is copy or build my files, move them over, and then I go to batch mode and I hit set. The only thing I might change in that from time to time is that information tab. If I did this on April 20th, I'm going and changing that date. Because I want to be able, if you look in your File Explorer under Windows, you look at the data that shows up when you see a file, and it says Joe Blow did it and this and that and the other thing. That's the data I'm looking at. So if I want to sort by all the files that I updated on April 20th, I can do that. But that's the metadata. If you don't do it, you won't have it.
But once you change it,
Wait, we've got a question here. We'll get you a follow-up in just a minute.
This is Janet Shannon from Tempe, Arizona. I want to make sure I'm clear that in the batch process, can you do MP3 and WAV files at the same batch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
But I personally have found that's not a terribly good idea.
Okay.
Simply because.
Wait a second. Say it on the mic.
I found that it's a bad idea simply because the file sizes are so much, you know, a 128 KBS MP3, which is not a very good bit rate, by the way, but it's a mega minute, okay? You got the 3-minute song, it's gonna be somewhere in the 3 meg vicinity. That same WAV file, that same 3-minute song will be somewhere in the 35 to 40 megabytes.
The size of the file differs, but I do want to say this. Yes, you can do them both at the same time, and one of the things you will find out about Gold Wave is that it processes WAV files faster than MP3 files. Oh, absolutely, much faster. MP3 files have to be decompressed. In the process, when it's opening the file, it turns your MP3 file into a WAV file. And then when it closes the file, if you've told it MP3, it converts it back into an MP3 at the bit rate and the hertz that you want it to be at. So it's a longer process to do MP3s. So from when I'm doing records, my records are typically WAV files. It's a shorter process for me. I turn them out as MP3s, but when they come in, they're WAVs. If you have to worry about the space on your disk drive, you probably should be thinking about buying a couple of terabytes of USB drive or something of that nature.
WAV files are huge.
Yes.
You gotta follow up.
Dennis Clark again. I want to clarify the question I asked. My question was, are those settings saved? What I meant was, are they saved to a point that, can you save them to a point that if you change something in those settings, can you save them under a name to where if something is changed and you go back in?
I do believe you
have
can create
them
a custom process. I believe you can. I've actually never done it because I really don't change anything other than the metadata information. That's all I change.
I'm pretty sure you're correct about that, Don.
Yeah.
That you can save it in a custom profile.
Dennis Farrar, Sun City, West Arizona. I've been using Gold Wave for a long time, and you mentioned, Don, about saving your files under music, under MP3, SQMP, whatever it is.
Well, when I bring them in the first time, I save them under a music file under Gold Wave.
Under Gold Wave.
Just says music.
Right. Well, I've been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate this because now I'm going to try this batch. I've never done the batch. I've always done about 6 at a time and done them 1 at a time. And I run across a lot of times, well, I'm retired. I run across a lot of things when you have music like Clap Your Hands on Coyote Records. When you have some of those clap hands in the background, if you start being aggressive with your pops and stuff, it's going to take a lot of those clap things out. And as good as SQ Square View is, I don't put anything under Square View forward because Thomas does upgrade it from time to time. And if you upgrade and something happens to those music files, yeah, you got it backed up. But what I've done is I've put everything as an underscore MP3, underscore lyrics, and it's all at the top of my hard drive, and those get backed up on F-backup on a regular basis. So it's something to think about. You can also go to my website and I'll show you how I've done my music using a Micro 100 at Hilton, and also, well, it was my 150 at the time, and now it's a 220, but it's basically the same thing. It'll show you where to plug it in, make sure you get a headset. And the new computers do not have a microphone auxiliary.
Nor would you want to plug this into the microphone.
Yeah, so I use what they call a Turtle Beach to do mine. Turtle Beach sound card.
So, it's a USB sound card.
Yeah.
Yes,
a couple things.
They're about $20.
Yeah, a couple things real quick. Whether it's Digital Music Magician, I assume musician, anyway, CSDS, Square View, Square MP3, Windows Explorer, a playlist in Winamp, or any other of the 80 trillion ways you've got to play music, it does, you know, nothing is going into that program, nor can that program eat up anything that you play through that program. It's merely a Windows File Explorer based, meaning that it, with all the fanciness of it, it goes down there and takes your mouse and finds your song and double clicks on it for you. Okay? Backing up, wonderful, wonderful idea. Okay? But backing up in the same hard drive, you've got them in one case, you've got the music in the Square View folder under a folder named MP3. Okay, no big deal. Square View could go out of business. The DLLs quit working. All kinds of crap could happen. Yeah, but your music's still there. Okay, so if you're gonna take the time of backing up, which is a really good idea, put some on the cloud, maybe put some on an external hard drive. Back it up in 2 places, and then also, you know, thing you carry around.
Yeah, I wanna reiterate cloud backup, you know, because if you've ever lost it all, you know what the pain is. Cloud backup, for the most part, if you belong to, well, I'll give you one that I use, Hightail. I have all of my stuff backed up to Hightail. It's on the cloud. If I need access to it, doesn't matter where I'm at, I can get it. I don't have to worry about carrying that backup drive with me.
Windows OneDrive also.
Yes, another one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Windows OneDrive that comes with 10 is a great free one. They limit you to 5 gigs, but at, you know, 5 or 6 megabytes per tune, 5 gigs will hold a fair amount of music.
So in closing, what I want to say is, organize your music, okay? Don't leave it spread all over. I help people with this stuff. And I'll go in and somebody will say, well, give me a hand with this, and I say, where's your music? And I go, and I go ahead and find it sitting on the desktop. Well, okay, and where's your lyrics at? Oh no, they're someplace else. If you follow the conventions and you put your lyrics files in, Thomas Baronhead gives you 9,700 cue sheets already done. If you put them in the lyrics folder and you put your music in the folders we've outlined in Square View, you then know where everything's at. And you can go and get whatever you need to do it, and that's when people start saying, you know, I got the lyrics on my thing pressed, but it doesn't work. Why not? Because it doesn't know where your lyrics are at. I'm going to cover that in Square View configuration.
Yeah, I have a question.
Right
Mike.
after this.
Next.
Mike,
Yes,
do you have lyrics included with Square Desk?
not today. So for those who came in late, I'm the author of Square Desk. It does support lyrics, putting lyrics files in right next to where the file itself is. And it's in beta test right now, so it doesn't have all the features that Square View does. I know what's inside the Square View files, and so I'll be figuring out some way to do lyrics in the future. But thanks for asking.
Bill Hyman, could you speak as to how things are organized in that magical thing you got?
My name is Bill Hyman from Marlborough, New Hampshire. I am the creator of Digital Music Magician. I had the pleasure of actually being the first individual in this industry to introduce MP3s to the industry. I had to create my own store. I ended up creating FileMagician.com since there were no good delivery vehicles around. We spent huge amounts of money to get that going. And just for historical clarification, I should mention, while I worked very closely with Pat Carnathan, actually my co-pioneer was the late Johnny Wyckoff. I was 61 at the time. He was, as it turned out, 71. He told everybody he was 61 because he thought that was cool. But I thought it was cool actually too. Anyway, but Johnny at the age of 71 was actually one of the most forward-looking pioneers in this industry, and he was the first producer to digitize a good chunk of his library, and I had the pleasure of distributing that for him in MP3 format on dosigo.com or Handers Tape Service and so forth. The point here is that I created Digital Music Magician for a very simple reason. I am not a programmer, so I actually had to pay for outside programming, which is why it costs money. I am very respectful of Square Desk and the programming skills there and others who have done that for free. I have no problem with that at all, quite frankly. We are not really competing. We're simply offering different products, and there's honestly no competitive spirit. Digital Music Magician now costs $99. It is installable in any Windows operating system which you might have now, including 10. Works very, very well. The cue sheets are all available at digitalmusicmagician.com, including all of the Square View cue sheets there with permission, by the way, from Thomas. He and I have always been extremely cordial with each other and very respectful. Once again, no competition. He is a free program. Your program is also free. We charge $99 and the prices go up from there up to $149, I think $200, but it doesn't really much matter. The theme of my program was to simplify it so you didn't have 44 buttons staring you in the face, or said differently, I designed the program for callers like myself with short, stubby, fat fingers wearing bifocals. That honestly was the design criteria for the program. I kid you not. It was written down. That's what we had to do so that all of my buttons are large, they are readable, and you can design the viewable screen in any configuration which is good for you so that it simplifies what you're looking at any point in time. Quick to find. I also comment on where you store things, whether they're in root or deep in store user files, as does CALLERLAB and Reinhold Rodig. I am now having that installed in C, Digital Music Magician. It eliminates all of the Windows vulgarities, if you will, because they unfortunately Microsoft changes them frequently, so that it's always available to you. I can tell you CALLERLAB's dance program, also installed in the root, that has simplified it. And I agree with your comment on backing up files. They should be as close to the root as possible, plus at the very least, one minimum on-site external hard drive, and certainly up on Carbonite or and any of the other really wonderful cloud options there. You really should have backup. I actually have several backups, and for years, actually in the years when Tom and Pam Dillander owned dosigo.com and Handers, I actually kept 2 extra copies of all of their music in other sources, since I was actually hosting it on my server. They didn't have their server. That was always on my computer. I always had it just for emergency's sake in 2 other very safe places. God forbid something happened to my server.
Is anyone here not familiar with what we're talking about when we say the cloud? Everybody knows what the cloud is.
Yeah,
Everybody knows how to get to the cloud. Everybody knows how to put a file up on the cloud. Everybody knows how to, once that file's up there, get it down when you need it. Let me ask again, show of hands, how many people or maybe could use a little cloud input? All right. How many people are specifically interested in Square View? Okay. How about Square MP3? Okay. CSDS and others. Okay. I think what we'll do is, because it's, what time is it? Yeah, we got 5 minutes, yeah. Talk about the cloud just for a second. All the cloud is a server, a hard drive, somebody's computer, somewhere besides where you are. That's all it is. Free services like Dropbox, for example, is an example of the cloud, and they give you 5 gigs to start with.
Free too.
Yeah, it's free. And a maximum of $99 a year for a terabyte. That's what I use in particular. If anybody has purchased Office 365 from Windows, that came with a terabyte of one drive for you. So if you've purchased the Windows 365 Cloud Suite, you've got a 1 terabyte place to park stuff, and you might not even realize that. With Dropbox, after your initial allotment is up, if you refer people, they give you more in, I think, 750 megabyte chunks or something like that. But anyway, so you need a place to put this stuff. And even an external hard drive is better than nothing. But anything that is physical...
And 2 external hard drives is better than 1.
That's true. But if you got 2 external hard drives in the same house that burns down, it makes no difference. If you have 2 external hard drives in the same car that gets stolen, or, you know, putting it in the cloud is nice, because what happens up on the cloud is they've got it backed up on multiple servers. The servers are what they call rated together, and they're just, you know. So, we're going to break out in the Birds of the Feather session. It'll be a little less formal, and so Don is going to be doing the square view and any file management questions you may have for that. I'll be doing CSDS, DMM, and other, and answering any file management questions. And Brad will be doing Square MP3 and any file management questions. If the one that you're with doesn't know the answer, walk over or yell at one of the other of us. If none of us knows the answer, it obviously was not an important question. So I'm thinking, hello.
Dennis Clark again, just real quick, you're talking about backing up to the cloud. My question is, and this is a problem that I keep encountering in my area, and I don't know if it's all over. How many of you have been told never connect your computer to the internet because of viruses? Anybody in here?
How many believe that?
I think I have it now. Are you talking about never connect your calling computer to the internet? So there's an easy solution for that.
Well, I know what the solution is.
So, but let's address that, because that is a legitimate question, because a lot of us don't connect our calling computer to the internet. We use our calling computer just for calling, and we don't want to take a chance on getting infected. So we don't connect our calling computer to the internet. I almost did it again.
If you're calling,
but you can pull your music files onto a thumb drive, onto a hard drive backup, and then use that to transfer it to the computer you do use on the internet, and then you can back them up to the cloud. Now, the problem becomes when you're out of town and you lose all your files and you want to get them back from the cloud, can't use that process anymore. You got to find a connection to the internet.
So I want to address...
1 second. And the thing about that process is you're going to connect this computer to the net, and then you're going to put the net with the virus. Don't forget bad virus. So you connect it to a computer that has a port, and you dump it on your thumb drive. If a virus has gotten on your computer that your virus software hasn't taken care of, there's a pretty good chance that it's on that thumb drive. Now you stick said thumb drive into a computer that hasn't had a virus update in 3 years. Guess what? Issue. This is my calling computer, okay? I was doing some online banking with it last night here in the hotel. I updated Flash, I watched a movie, and I call with it 6 nights a week. If something really were to go bad, I could reach into my telephone here and do a 3-hour dance, and that's about how long it would take me to, in a case of a festival, to have my wife or somebody run down to Best Buy and get me a computer and download the stuff back from my cloud. So yes, there's identity theft, yes, there's viruses, yes, but if you don't do anything stupid, and by stupid, I mean, don't take your calling computer and go to pornosites.com and start clicking on the ads, okay? If you don't do that, you stand a pretty good, and you have a decent virus software on there, it's a pretty good chance.
I want to address one thing, though. If you own one of these, and you don't have a firewall, and you don't have virus protection on it, you're making the world's biggest mistake.
Amen.
So for those of you, my internet provider is Comcast. They provide a free Norton security suite. You can't get any better than that. Go out and buy virus protection, put a firewall on it. Because if you do, if you know anything about computers, and I open up that firewall, I can tell you how many hacks people have tried to get in through my back doors. You don't want to own one of these without having that. Mr. Allen, on mic, please.
Wait a minute, on mic.
All right. One of the things that I do with my laptop.
State your name and where you're from, for the record.
I'm me and I'm from there. No, I'm Bob Elling, San Leandro, California, Riverboat Records. One thing I do as far as my laptop, you can get software where you can clone your hard drive. What's that mean? You get exactly the same hard drive. It's not the same piece of hard, and it's a hard. You just open up the back of your hard drive, pull it, or laptop, pull out one, flop the other one back in. Now, you have to update that thing if you want to do that. I don't do that. I have the core. All of my music, all my programs are on that clone drive. So if I got hacked by a ransomware thing, just pull out the hard drive, put in the new one, and I've done that.
Thank you, Bob. Dennis?
My Dick Van Dyke.
You're pretty good.
Yeah.
She didn't roll them.
Yeah, I've had callers tell me, because I use SquareView, they said, have you ever been to a dance and had it locked up? And I said, well, I don't remember it. But they said, well, is it the SquareView program or what is it? I said, well, did you enable the Wi-Fi or put your computer in airplane mode? And they said, no. And I said, well, when you're at a convention center, there's a lot of multiple free Wi-Fi's floating around this building. And it'll just be a matter of time until one connects. And when it connects, you know, then it could lock up your SquareView. And I'll tell you what happened to me, and this is a true story. Most of you probably know this already because Tom Miller has probably posted it to Facebook. But we were doing a festival in Tucson about 3 years ago, and we were calling in the mainstream hall. And it was my turn to call, and I'm calling away, and I said, "Do your corner, look her in the good eye." And this guy comes on my computer and says, "You got mail." Well, everybody just cracked up in the hall. My wife was at the door crying. And so just be real careful when you're calling. Make sure you put your computer in airplane mode or turn the Wi-Fi off to eliminate being connected when you don't want to, because your computer could go into a automatic update mode and it blocks it.
You make a great point. First of all, Windows updates. You want to control Windows updates. You don't want to let it go automatically.
That's right.
Secondly, when we go through the SquareView presentation, I'm going to show you a setting that's absolutely critical to you. Not just because if I don't have it in airplane mode and I might get something, but there's another little setting in there that says if I don't change this, the default probably will lock up SquareView. So we'll go over that when we go through SquareView.
Okay, what we've got now is we've got about a 13-minute break. The next half of this session is a birds of a feather thing, meaning a common interest group. We invite every single one of you back. If everybody who does come back will be getting some complimentary music from what's my name? Fine Tune and Lumac, and I think I've got a gold wing in there too or something. Anyway, but this, yeah, we got sharpshooter in there too. So what I want to see is the people that are very, very interested in finding out the intricacies of SquareView in particular, that seems to be the bulk of you, is to kind of, when you come back in, head off over in kind of in the direction of Don over here. No, because I'm commandeering the, no. And then, yeah, and we'll probably be in the back.
So mine is going to be another slide presentation. And by the way, the slide presentations are available on the thumb drive that CALLERLAB is offering for $5.
Actually, for the SQMP3, there's only 3 of us, I think, 3 or 4 of us. Let's just go to one of the tables right out here. We'll take a 5-minute break or whatever. Go to
We reconvene at 4 o'clock.
We reconvene at 4 o'clock.
In here.
Reconvene here, and then I'll take you out.
And make sure we have your email address, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mine is installed, or I
It might be
even really good websites. Audio website, and if there was something already downloading from there.
You get something out of your bank, it may not be from your bank. So I told my wife that I do the same thing with your bank, I select email. Never when I do this, I
Colorado, nice. I'm gonna sit right here next to this
Bill, thank you for your input, sir.
Is that question for me or for that?
No, that's just because I don't think it's right. He doesn't use it. He doesn't use it, so we're not familiar enough with what he's talking about.
This front of the room versus the back of the room. They're gonna take one of those outside, so
As you know, and I don't think it'd be here, it's a different approach. Different approach, and it's a modest enough raise there. I think that-
And the new one,
It's pretty amazing.
answer is yes and no. The reason is because you say it's over at the funds, you were going to go to that, it goes out of it turns it back into the home. Now, yes, you can do that. This also now, I want to get out of the way of traffic. So now if I need to upgrade this to convert it to I remember reading that. You start using that file and you forgot it. Years ago, when I recorded off on my computer. Yeah, I was doing that. That's what It's something to do as a crew up. I've had to move to dance magazine. That one I have that program on my computer and others because you use my own back all the time. There's another one. That's how and makes sure to get you some noise. You say with over the top of the all together in the weather. Flocking together. Flocking. Flocking? Together. Oh, I thought you said something else. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said cocking, you know, like when you're putting the bathtub. Talking. Anyways, anybody in here now that was not in the first half of the session? Okay. Oh, sure, yeah. We would like you to sign in on a sheet that's up here someplace. And that would be your name, email, and reason for your tardiness. If you need a new page, there's one underneath.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Someone just asked. We are going to Don Wood from Lamech Records and somewhere in Alaska that sounds like they brew beer there, right? Close, yeah. From Olympia, Washington is going to take those who wish to learn Square View along with file management questions and how do I download it, and oh my God, where did it go, and all that good stuff. And that's going to be in this room here. Are you going to go outside?
I'm gonna go outside.
I think
Not outside,
Yeah.
out the door.
How many people are going to be taking advantage of Square MP3?
SQMP3.
All right, there we go.
I don't.
Yeah, I will take CSDS and Dance Master. And DMN, yeah, I'll just, whatever you got, bring it out. So I'm kind of thinking that what we'll do is we'll break apart, and let's see what time it is right now. It is 4:03, okay? So why don't we get back in here at, say, 20 to 5? Okay. 30 minutes? Okay. Okay.
I don't add well.
Return here at 4:33 and 45. Come in here about 22, okay? All right, CSDS, Dance Master, DMM, Square MP3, his master's voice. I'll just walk out the door and we'll talk to you out there. That portion will not be recorded. So this section will be recorded. Would you occasionally mention we're out in the hallway so they don't...
Sure.
Yeah, right, okay.
We threw Rick out.
And we're going to leave Don Wood in charge, and that's...
Oh, God.
Scary, scary, scary. There's handouts for this.
There's a handout for this
And that's right there, and there is, again, let me reiterate, every seminar, all the handouts, everything is on a $5 thumb drive. It's the price of the drive, you get the drive and everything, you keep it, okay? So it's a good thing, and it helps out CALLERLAB, and that's always a good thing, yes? So, we're here to talk about how to configure SQView, and I get lots and lots of questions. So, yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Android. Okay, so, we have a gentleman right here who's been with Thomas for a long time. I have too. I go back to his original SQView, and I've been a beta tester and, comments back and forth. We're going to talk about the newest version of SQView that has 3 columns, if you want them. If you want them. If you don't, you can have 2, because there's an option for that. You can have 4, there's an option for that. So, let's get started. I want to extend my thanks to Thomas Birmingham, who has provided this program for free, and this is not to be in deference with Cedar or any of the others, because their programs are also marvelous. I just happen to choose this one.
Hey, Don.
Yes?
Just about the last,
Here.
just one.
I turned it on.
3, what?
Just to make Dennis Ferrar, Sun City, West Arizona, just to make a point of what I mentioned in the last breakout session when I said make sure you turn your computer on airplane mode or turn the Wi-Fi automatically off. I just got a notification from HP Update. Would you like to update any of your software and drivers updates now? If you have, and you have them on automatic, and you have your Wi-Fi activated, it could lock up your Square View, or it could just start updating, and you're right in the middle of a dance. You could be in deep trouble. So
Most of the laptops today in this environment have a switch on them called airplane mode. You get a call or dance, put it in airplane mode. Okay? So again, I wanted to thank Thomas Bairnhead, who put this program together. I also want to say that Dave Wilson's program and Vic Cedars program and Digital Fine, they're all fine programs. Most of them do similar things. I just chose this one. Okay? And it doesn't mean to say that the others are less. You make your own decisions there. As I said, I've been involved with Square View since the beginning. So I've helped Thomas out, Thomas has helped me out, And as a record producer, for a man who gives us so much for free, all I do is make sure he gets my comps. And he's never asked for them, by the way. Let's discuss some important topics. Your laptop and you. Again, for the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to use Windows 10 and we're going to use SquareView. We're going to talk about, I'm sorry, CSDS is a Cedar Dance system.
Yeah, where?
Outside.
Outside, oh, okay.
We're going to talk about current folder structure. We're going to talk about setting up your music files. We've done a little bit of this in the first one. We're going to talk about installing SquareView. And we're going to talk about laptop and tablet settings for SquareView. SquareView is a calling program that's maintained by Thomas Bairnhead, and it's available at www.sqview.se for free. It comes with 9,700 downloadable cue sheets. That in and of itself is worth its weight in gold. For the purpose of this demonstration and this talk, I want to make the assumption that you and your laptop are friends. Okay? This is not to say I won't help you, but
Sometimes you like me out.
but I want to make sure that you're comfortable with your laptop because that's another segment. Okay? If you've downloaded the latest copy of SquareView, it's going to be under your C users downloads directory. So every user on your laptop, C:\/ whack users whack done whack downloads is where all this stuff is located at. You're going to utilize File Explorer to locate the compressed file where SquareView is located. How many of you already have SquareView installed? Okay, so I don't need to tell you how to install it, correct? Let's. Yeah, the latest version is, I want to say 6.7.3.
I got 9.12. 9.12.4.
That's right, 9.12.4. So I'm not going to go through your folder structure where to put SquareView. Put it on your C drive under the root directory. I do hope that you have on your C drive a SquareView directory. And I hope under that directory you have a music folder, an MP3 folder. I would hope you build one, okay? And put your there's your SQView folder, you see it right here. And now we're going to go under that. And we're going to create a music folder under that. And it's labeled MP3. Because that's what we're actually playing with. And then under that, I create two other folders. I create three for me. But I create the Hoedowns folder. I create the other music folder. And I create the singing call folder. Because I need my music separated. In SQView, you will also find a folder called Lyrics or Text. You pick. I happen to name mine Lyrics because I like it. So this is your folder structure as it should appear when you're done.
If you do it your way.
If you do it my way. You pick. You can do it your own way. I don't really care.
Okay, fine.
But this is the one I'm going to talk to. You're going to navigate to your C users, your name downloads to the SquareView folder and the zip file, and you're going to extract everything to there. And if you know how to do it, you know to right click on the folder and you know that it'll say extract, and you navigate to where you want to put it, and you put it there. Once we have that, let me skip ahead a little bit. I want to get into the meat of this thing. Because a lot of the times I have to actually get down to where, how do I create a folder? I've had people ask me that. Okay, well, this is how. So, here's your latest view. It supports 3 or 4 columns if you want it to. And it looks like this. Well, that might be my color and your color and everything else, but I want to talk about some buttons and things right now. So the question came up, what's this guy right here? That's the loop button. How many of you have created a pattern music that's 10 and 20 minutes long? Well, people do that. And you ask yourself, why? The loop button allows this thing to loop over and over and over. And these 2 little guys right down here, the start and the stop, allows you to tell it when and where. So if I want it to loop at a certain spot, I'll listen to the music, I'll play it up to there, and then I'll hit that start the loop here. Then I listen to it all the way down at the end, and where I want it to loop back to that spot, I put stop the loop here. Yes?
Okay, I saw the loop, but where, I'm sorry.
You see these 2 buttons right below it?
Oh, we're not seeing the check mark?
Oh, I thought my screen was there.
Yeah, your mouse is not showing.
Okay.
Oh, why is not my mouse showing up? I don't know.
Wish we had a laser.
I know.
Yeah, I wish I did.
Got one now. Right now. You have your loop, and you can start from 0 by checking that off, and it'll check that, and it'll start as default.
Yeah, it starts at a default. You can set the default, but actually, if you want it to be right, you want to listen to the music and find a natural loop point.
Right.
Okay, so I want to loop on a downbeat. Add a phrase in the music that's a good spot to start. And then when I want to return to that spot, I set the lower one. And when I hear that beat, then I hit the loop button again. And what it does, it plays that segment between those 2 time frames. Yes?
So you do each song individually this way?
I do. Because not all pattern records are the same.
And you do that by choice?
By choice.
Okay.
I listen to the structure of the music, and if it says to me on beat 26, that's where I should start my loop, then I start my loop there. Yes?
Just to
State
make sure,
your name, please.
Gary Baker from Spokane area, just to make sure people understand, you're not changing the MP3 file.
Not at all.
When you make changes in SquareView like this, so your file is still there. You haven't done anything to it. These are just settings that you're changing within SquareView.
So the most important button to you right now is, if you see up in the top the little blue button on the side, it says save.
Yeah.
You gotta save it, okay?
Otherwise you'll reset it again.
Dennis Farrar, Sun City West. It also, I believe, has a default loop
It does.
in the options, so you can set default loops for everything. And if you don't like it, as you play it, you can change it.
Right.
But make sure you save it after you change it.
It comes installed with a default loop set.
15. I think it's 15, yes.
So it's your choice. Yes, sir. Mike, please.
Elmer Claycomb from Custer, South Dakota. Can I dump myself out of the end of the pattern without losing? Because what I always like to do, I can hear the end of that pattern coming up, and I'm going to use that end right where it
You
should
can
be.
reach over and uncheck that loop, and it'll play all the way to the end.
Okay, does that, if I've saved it before, can I go back and have that same?
Yeah, once you've created the loop,
Okay,
it saves it in the database, and you hit saved, it saved it in the database. When you uncheck the loop, all it does was remove the looping function. So if you want it to end, you want it into the last beat of music, I assume. So you uncheck the loop and away you go. And I believe I have to look back, but I'm pretty sure there's a hotkey for that.
You have to save it if you want to save it, otherwise it goes back to the
Well, I realize that, but I'm saying once I've saved it, once I want to know where my loop function is and I'm getting ready to end my pattern on this one, if I hit the L key, it removes the loop and allows my pattern to run out. The next time I load the song, and we're going to get into this, how that loop appears, we're going to get into it in the configuration, because you have to do some things to make that happen. Every time I load that song, that loop's going to come up, and it's going to be where I set it. Okay? Yes?
Chuck Simpkins from Grants Pass, Oregon. Now, when you're looping your songs, you can loop it as many times as you want. Okay, you can loop it up to 5 times if you think you're going to go through that song 5 times. Okay, but it takes a little knack. You might have to listen to your song 4 or 5 times before you get that loop exactly where you want it.
Yeah, that's a work in structure, in progress. It's not something you do on the fly. You sit home, you work with your laptop, and you're setting up your pattern records. And one of the things you pick is the loop point. If you want to. If you don't, leave the default. It's perfectly fine.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Mike, please.
When you're saying save, I see reset, and then it looks like a little drive here.
The one that
This is your save.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
if I click that, what shows up?
What happens is it saves it nothing. It saves it to a database. That save button, let's talk about it a little bit. You want to control your music. Let's say you don't like the key that it's in. Okay, if you hit a control, or if you hit the D button, that takes it down a half step. If you hit it twice, it takes it down a full step. Once you've done that, if you said, that's where I want to sing this song at, that's my key, you reach up, hit the save button. Okay, and now it's saved. Every time the song comes up, it's coming up down a full step. Yes, another question.
Who's got it?
Michael Fetting from Anger, North Carolina. I always use the pitch instead of the key change. Is the key change better than using the pitch and the tempo?
I think if you look, that's going to change when you use the pitch. The tempo is a different subject. The tempo is the beats per minute the song plays.
Right.
So this doesn't take the tempo down. E and R does that. E brings the tempo down, R brings the tempo up.
I apologize. I shouldn't have said tempo, but I used the sliders, and that's what I was trying to emphasize.
Yeah, the slider is a lesser version. I prefer the hotkeys. It's just, I can do it on the fly.
But you're saying that the key change will definitely change the pitch, though.
It'll change the pitch, where you start at, and the fun thing about it is, let's say you're at home. Let's say you're practicing this new singing call, and you realize that it doesn't sound right in that pitch. I'm saying, so I reach up and I hit the D key, and it takes it down a half step, and I'm still singing the song. Not right quite, I have to hit it again, and I'm still singing the song. So now I know it belongs down 2 keys, or down a full step. I reach up, hit save, it doesn't save it at that point, it saves the whole song. So when I start it up again, it's going to be -2. I should add also, don't be afraid to go up a half step, because up a half step for you can bring your octave down to the song.
Question?
So basically, it's Joe Gonzalez, Clovis, California. So basically, it's you finding your range on that song when
Right.
you're moving the key up and down.
Yep.
Okay.
And tempo, the national tempo is 126 to 128 beats a minute. Don't get caught up in all of that. The tempo is what the song dances at a good tempo. I just put out a new song, 7 Spanish Angels. It's at 116 beats a minute, because that's where it dances best. Okay?
Not all producers do that.
Has nothing to do with pitch.
No, it's where I know where that song dances best. When I put out a song, you know it's been on the floor lots, because I want it to come out as the dance tempo that it's good for.
Helen, Portland. Regarding the pitch, is there a plus or minus where the pitch becomes distorted or the song becomes distorted?
Yeah, in any case, you can go up too far. Or down too far, and it does start to become distorted. I've found that 3 either up or 3 either down, it's pretty close to the original song. If you don't want to do that, there are tools available. Some of them are not cheap. I use a program called Studio One Professional. And when I change the key in that, nothing, I have no distortion. But I got $1,000 wrapped up in the program. I'm not sure you want to do that. SquareView will do it there. GoldWave has the ability to do it. It's not going to be as good as my SQ Pro or my Studio One Pro, but it has the ability. So does Audacity. So you might want to look at those as well. We need to get a little bit further. So we're going to talk about these 3 keys right here. These 3 down here. The first one you see on the left. This is your Hoedowns folder. And we're going to define it by the manila folder in the middle. You see that? That's the Hoedown. That's where you're going to navigate to tell SquareView where your Hoedowns are located. If we go to the next one, that's where your singing calls are located. Okay? And the third one is if you want to do line dances, if you want to, some roundhouse cuers use it. If you want to do rounds, if you want to do any of that stuff, you can put it in the third one. And we're going to talk something about one of the programs in here called Music Jukebox, which I use a lot because, for example, at home when I'm teaching lessons on Monday nights, I have a bunch of kids. And they like to line dance, so I throw my line dances in there and just turn it on and let them fly between the tips. And they're out kicking up their heels and having a good time, and it makes for a good show. So, let's talk about the other button. See the blue one?
Which one?
On any one of them there, on the left-hand side of each box, there's a blue one. No, not that one, the one over to the left. Playlist. I talked about that in another seminar. Playlists are the way I plan dances. I can tell you what I did for a club in Portland 10 years ago, because it's in my playlist. So let's say I go back every year and I do a club called the B&Bs. I do their Halloween dance every year. I don't want to do the same songs over and over and over. So I identify in the playlist, and actually I go back 3 and 4 playlists to see what I did. So I can come back then and create new songs for that year. And I keep a folder on my laptop that's called Dances. And then under that folder is every club I've ever called for in the last 20 years. And under there is every dance that I've done, and it comes up in an M3U format, which means it will play in a Windows Media Player or whatever the case may be. But it's also viewable in a Notepad text file. I can open it up, I can see what I did, compare what I did, and pick what I want to do next. And there's a section in SquareView, when you open that up, it's called Playlist Manager. And it's, I don't know if I'm going to get to that yet, but we'll see if I can. Yeah, it's under Tools. Okay, and I'm talking about the buttons that control the display and the lyrics and play. And people tell me, so I can't get lyrics on play, and I don't know why. Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, you haven't pushed one of these buttons. Number 2, and if you push them, you see where the X is, where the line is through the far right one? The red line? That means I don't want to play lyrics there. Where the line is not in the middle one, my singing calls. I want lyrics there. And in the Hoedowns files, I don't have any lyrics for those, so I have that X'd out too. So I'm not trying to find a lyric every time I turn around. I only want it on that middle one. I want to get into some of the other things that are important. Once you have installed SquareView and the program, you should have an icon on your desktop to initiate it. A shortcut, and it will bring it up, and it's going to look like this right off the bat. It's empty, it doesn't know where your music is. We have to teach it. So again, I'm going to go to those folder areas. We're going to get a configure here. You see that folder button I talked to you about? Right there, it should come up. Right there. That folder button is how I tell where my Hoedowns is at. Right across on all 3 lists. The next one's singing calls, and so on down the line. What becomes more important is when I get into the configuration. Each one of these list boxes are configurable in the configuration of SquareView. I get to start with, so what I've done, it populates and it looks like this, or you may have different colors, but those are configurable.
Don?
Yes?
Let me point out that this is where it's pointing to right here for your hold down and for
Yeah.
your singing calls.
Exactly.
That's what you're looking for. That's your fact. That's his direction where he points to.
Now we're getting ready to configure. This is done through the options menu of SquareView, and I'm going to show you where that's at here in just a second. So if you look up where this red circle appears, that's the options menu. And we're going to talk about the music options. In the music options, there's a drop-down box, looks like this. And there's a whole bunch of things in this drop-down box, whole bunch. I can configure the colors. I can configure the location, because I'm going to tell it in here where my location of my music files, etc., and everything is. More importantly, I get down in here, and we're going to talk about a thing called bass buffer. Okay? If you've ever been in the SquareView and somebody told you your record skipped, it's because your bass buffer's set wrong. It comes out, I forget what the default is, it's 900 and something.
Mine's I'm up at 800 because I haven't.
800, okay? You want to set that buffer to half of your physical memory. So if you have 4 gigs of physical memory on your laptop, set it to 2048. That goes in, and that also is one of the things that will hang up SquareView if any other processes start running, like a download or whatever. You need to tell it that this is my buffer for SquareView. So make sure you set that switch to 2048. Again, it's on the music options folder, and it's down at bass buffer, and you can see, and it's a selectable parameter over on the right. You don't have to type it in, and you can go down and that, or you can simply type it in. Yep. And you all know that we're talking in bytes, right? We're not talking in, you don't put in 1,000. You put in the natural configuration of bytes in memory, so 1024 is 1 gig, 2040 is 2 gigs, and so on and so forth. Now, here's where we're going to configure our list boxes. So, the first list box is where I keep my hotels. So you want to make sure when you go in here and you start configuring list boxes, you see that circle on the right that says hoedowns? It has 3 options in there over on the right if you press it. One of them's hoedowns, one of them's singing calls, and the other one is all types. If you don't configure that to hoedowns, that loop box that we looked at, doesn't show up, because you don't need to loop it. So if you configure this to hoedowns, I now have a loop box. Okay? Second one, you configure the singing calls, because we're going to tell the singing calls what to do with the lyrics when I start them, including auto scrolls. So you don't have to sit there and go page down, page down, page down. The music will scroll through as you're singing. It's not karaoke. Doesn't highlight anything. All it does is scroll through it, so you don't have to sit there and do page downs. And we're getting into list box 2. Again, we go into there. I tell list box 2 that's where my singing calls are. So when I create that playlist that we talked about earlier, when I create that, all it does is create a pointer to the song in my location for my music. It's just a pointer. It doesn't move anything. It doesn't copy anything. I'm not creating an extra set of files. I've watched people over the years create multiple sets of files of their singing calls because they didn't know how to use a list box. didn't know how to use that playlist function. So you don't want to have 10,000 copies of one singing call. What you want to have is a bunch of M3U playlists so that you can define. I have them that define theme music. I have them that define special occasion music. I did a dance the other night, was a Rat Pack dance. I now have a playlist for all the Rat Pack songs that I own. So if I ever go back and do that again, I have it for rock and roll, I have it for 50s, I have it for 60s, but more importantly, I have them for every club I've called for in the last 20 years. Every dance that I've called for. One of the biggest compliments that I ever get from dancers is, your music is always different. I never come back and hear the same thing over and over, the same old tired 12 songs. The reason that is because I track all that stuff, and if you think after 25, 30 years of this stuff or longer, I prepare for every dance. I don't wing nothing because I'm too old. I can't remember. So I just make sure I prepare it ahead of time. It's really simple for me. And we go on to list box 3. Yes.
Mitch Pimo, Colorado. My weird question is, if I want a column for hoedowns, a column for singing calls, and because I'm one of those weird people, a column for contras, which I want to loop, do I have to call the third one?
You're going to call the third one to hoedowns.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
And of course, we're talking about list box 3 now. It's okay to go into this area and play with the music settings, because you have an option to always go back to the default. You can always get back to the default. What I say by playing with the music settings is you might want to change your colors. You might want to, maybe you want a 24-hour clock up there. Maybe you want to have all the markers in place. If you use them, it's fine. Play with it. Just do it at home before the dance.
Absolutely.
We're talking about, this is another one that is problematic for some people. Have you ever clicked on the song, expected the lyrics to come up, and nothing happens? That's probably because you have this setting set to PDF and you don't have Acrobat Reader loaded on your laptop. Best thing, set it to HTML. That'll always work. Every cue sheet that Thomas puts out is put out in HTML format. Yes, sir. Mike?
I hope I'm not interjecting too soon.
No, sir.
One of the things I did find out, especially since I gravitated from Winamp, from my previous mentor, and it will open up a JPEG up into another window, but as you were saying, it's better to go HTML. And opening up into another window for JPEG is terrible.
Your auto scrolls don't work. There's just all kinds of things. There's a lot of pretty pictures. So what I have taken doing is I have some of my record producer friends that send me their music, and I look at their cue sheets, their cheat sheets, and if it's not in HTML format, I put it in HTML format. How do I do that? SquareView has the ability to edit an HTML file. So I go over in Word and I create a Word document that says, you know, this, and I highlight where, just like Thomas does, where he highlights all the stuff. When I'm all done doing that, I copy and paste that. I go over to the edit side and I open up a new document, a new HTML document in SquareView Editor, paste it in there, save it as a file name, put it in my lyrics directory, and I'm done. And I now have one that actually works, scrolls, and does all my other stuff for me. When you get down in this, you're going to find this thing called scroll speed. That's up to you to play with, because everybody might like it a little different. I'm getting so long in the tooth, mine is slow, because I got to look at it 3 or 4 times. I don't memorize it the first time out. But you can play with it and set it to what you want it to be.
Where did you find scrolls?
Where is that?
It's under the music option. and there's one called auto scroll. So when you open up your music options, and I'm going to try to do that here in a minute with the live view of Square View.
I don't think you're going to see it in your handout. He's going to have to do it on the.
Yeah, I'm going to do some things online, but I've got to get the fine software thing to talk to it.
It's on the lyrics, isn't it, on the music?
Yes. Okay, so let me see if I can.
This is a function F10. This is the first time I've actually set this laptop up with multiple screens, so. Yeah.
Yes.
What is it on this one?
Is it in the handout there?
Yeah, mine's
On the
options, lyric.
Yeah, right in one. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all done in here?
Yeah, those are coming in.
Still working? Still working.
Don't say anything.
Sneaky stuff.
So we're gonna bring up Square View.
And we're going to go into Square View and we're going to look at options, lyrics, okay? And if you come down in lyrics, you're going to see this thing called auto scroll cue sheet. I've got mine set to 150 and 1. But that's when I play the cue sheet, when I play the music, it automatically scrolls through the lyrics. I've got my font set to Comic Sans MS, and it gives me the size. So somebody mentioned today that you got to make the cue sheets bigger. No, I don't. This does it for me.
Yeah, it does it for you.
So I don't have to go make them bigger for you. All you have to do is have them in HTML format, and I set what I want it to be. So it's as big or as small as I want.
24 is pretty big there.
Yeah. I talked about that. Let's just bring one up. Let's bring this up, and I'm going to do that, and you see here is a cue sheet. If I want to edit said cue sheet, I go right here, and this one's a little screwball because I haven't got that up there right. But I want to do that. Maybe I want to put the rest of the lyrics in. Maybe I want additional lyrics. Right here's where I do it. So I go in here and I set other lyrics that I want, and then I go back and I just say File. Save to file. It's going to ask me where do I want to put it. I'm going to say save it there. It's going to say, do you want to play this the next time I open that? And the answer is, of course I do. Yeah. So I answered again. Of course I do. So now the lyrics come up that I want. Question again.
Yeah, I've tried that.
Mike cutting again from Andrew, I haven't left. I have periodically have done the edit in the HTML through the Square View, and I'll say save, and I close it, and when I go back in it and it opens up, it's not there. Now, sometimes I've had to close Square View completely out and then reopen it. Sometimes it's saved in there, but sometimes it's not. Why?
Okay, so let's go back to, let me get out of this. And I want to go back to your tools and your lyrics.
While you're doing that, Don, I've had experiences occasionally where the song starts to play and the lyric doesn't come up. If you hit the space bar twice, it'll pop.
Okay. And I want to go back here because in lyrics, do you see this section right here? This is where I've told Square View my lyrics are. You need to set that.
Where again?
I'm in lyrics under tools, or options lyrics. And right here where it says path list box, I'm telling it where it's at. That's okay. So mostly, I've never had a problem with the edits because I say save to files. And then I tell it if it's a new one. Say, for example, I've taken and I do this, I cheat, I gotta tell you guys. I cheat a lot. So I'm doing a song. Let's go, here's one of mine. And I play it, and I stop it, and there's the lyrics. You see that? I'm gonna go edit. So I just did a new song called 7 Spanish Angels. and it's under LUMAC, and it's LUMAC 275. I go and do all the edits in here.
Wow.
Okay? And then when I save the file, I save it as LM275, and it tells me, or asks me then, do you want me to play this the next time South of the Border plays? And I said, no. But the next time I bring up LM275, there's my new cue sheet. Okay? So most of the time, Thomas has got this done for you. Most of the record producers are providing you an HTML cue sheet, but some of them aren't. Some of them are giving you graphic JPEG files. They don't work so well. So what you want to do is create your own cue sheet if you need to.
No. I didn't give the, Steve, I was going to say, please don't know. Word documents, I think I missed that.
So SQView will read PDF, rich text format, RTF, or HTML. My preference is HTML. Okay? So you can put it in a Word document. You can save it as a single file, or save it in Word as a web document, but you're getting an MHT file. If you save it as a single file web page, you're getting an HTML document. That's what you want. I prefer to bring it in here because even though I format Word correctly, it doesn't always show up here when I just put it in there as that. So I prefer to go in and pick up a file that I've already done, edit it, and put it back in and save it there.
Question? Even on brand new music?
On brand new music, if I get a file, if I get a set of files from Rick Hampton, I love Rick, and he sends me something that really isn't got all the information I want, in fact, it's not even in an HTML format, it's an RTF, then I change it and I put it in my system in HTML with all the information that I want. I want to know who the caller was, I want to know what the label is, and that's primarily because I get a lot of comps. I really appreciate that. When I get the comps, I want to give credit to the producer when I'm doing the song. So I say, hey, this is Rick Hampton's latest Freebird, and you guys ought to really listen to it. It's really good. And give them a little credit. Sir, we have another question.
Right there.
Can't miss you, huh?
Yeah.
Rick Manning, Westminster, California. I have converted all of my RTF files to HTMLs because I found that when I brought some of them up, the font, the colorations disappeared completely.
Exactly.
So please save them to HTML or even a PDF, whichever.
Yeah. HTML, I find is better.
Yeah, HTML is better.
Yeah.
I'm really loving this, so thanks. In this portion, when you go in there, you see how some of them are highlighted, the yellow or the light, whatever, sand? I have tried doing that through here, and I am not
You can't do it
successful.
through here.
Yeah, I have to
Take
go
it
through
into Word and do it in Word. You can duplicate that, the little format painter in Word, super tool.
I've used Microsoft Expressions.
Okay, but whatever, but it'll put your highlighting in there,
Alright, so you
and then you copy it back, and some of this is simply the way the background is set up.
All right, that answers my question.
John Kepler, San Antonio. Reference to the highlighting, you could actually, let's take the word south of the border. You could highlight that, copy it, put it and paste it on a different line, and just start typing what you want to type. And it'll put the highlight in there for you if you don't want to go through the rest of the rigmarole. But that's the option for you, and that's what I do a lot of.
So, let me real quick. Have I got any other questions? Okay, I want to take an opportunity to thank you folks for listening to me drill along for this period of time. My email address is dwood196@comcast.net. I'm going to take a copy of your stuff home, but I want to make sure, so if you attended this seminar, send me your email address, and I in turn will send you 2 Mac records for yours and yours to keep and play, and I hope you like them.
Your choice or
My choice.
We do have another question.
That was the dumbest question.
We have a couple of other questions, it looks like.
What's the email?
dwood196@comcast.net. And if I get your email, you will get another email in response from me that says it's coming from hightail.com with a link to download your files.
We got another question.
And you can tell me if you prefer patter or singers.
Carol Weekland, Omaha, Nebraska.
Hi,
Since you're
Carol.
in Squareview, hi. Would you show us how you pulled up that list of playlists for your last 20 years?
I sure will.
And then would you also show me what it looks like when you open it as a Word type file?
I will.
Because that's the part I don't
Okay,
get.
so let's go back. Let me get out of this one. And I'm gonna go back to my music, and let's say I wanna know what I did for, and I'm gonna open it up here, and I'm gonna say, well, that was my Rat Pack song. Let's do something different. Let's go back to SQView and dances, and where are you from?
Nebraska.
Nebraska. I don't think I've called to Nebraska.
And he stayed close by.
Okay, how about Albuquerque?
On the way.
And I want to know the singing calls I did in Albuquerque.
What year was
There they are. That's 2004. There are the singing calls I did in Albuquerque in 2004. Okay? So, let's go say, I'm going to put this down for a minute, and I'm going to go back into my dance folder. And this is why it helps to know where everything is at. Squareview, dances, pick a club. Let's say the B&Bs. I do a lot for them, and there's B&Bs in 2013. Right click on it and say open with Notepad. There's the text file. So, and I've had this happen to me. I've had other computers, and I go in and I say, on my little guy, my little bitty one that I carry when I'm doing other stuff, I go into it and I have all that on a D drive. Well, I want to have the same songs, or I want to have something. I come in here and I simply go in here and I say edit, replace, and then I type D colon on top, C colon on the bottom, and it updates my file and tell me everything's on C now. So it's a real quick way to do that.
How come you do so much X-rated stuff?
I don't know, all that stuff right there.
We were wondering. Yeah, you would wonder.
So the other thing I wanted, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think one of the other things, well, Chuck Simpkins, Grants Pass, Oregon. One of the other things you haven't touched on was marrying lyrics to your song.
Let's talk about that. So, one of the things that is the most important thing you can do today is label your songs correctly.
Absolutely.
The song needs to be labeled one of two ways in Squareview. You can name it South of the Border dash LM272, or you can name it LM272 space dash space South of the Border. Yeah, and that's what's in your lyrics folder, okay? So when Squareview looks for this, you highlight the song and I start the song, it looks in the lyric folder, it's looking for that. Otherwise, you're going to spend a great deal of time in the database that says marry the lyrics. And basically what's that doing, on one side it puts up all your singing calls or the numbers, and on the other side there's a set of lyrics. Now if your singing call is labeled my favorite singing call .123, and you know that's really South of the Border, Lumax 272, you're going to have to marry that. Okay? I don't want to do that, so I find it much more beneficial to properly label the song. And there are a bunch of free renamers out there. So you can put all your songs in and say, name it this, whatever the case may be. It's a tedious process, but once you do it, if I buy a song from this guy, he sends me a song like this great song, Freebird, he just did, I love it. If he sends it to me, what's the first thing I do after I download it? I I rename it. So it's now FT whatever in my singing call folder is no longer this little bitty short thing with a V he gives me. So I avoid doing the major work, but I will tell you that all of the callers that I've helped, that's one of the biggest problems. They don't have any clue what their songs are named.
Yep, or where they are.
Dennis Farrar, Sun City, West Arizona. I'll start off by saying, I'm a local guy. If anybody is local here and needs help with Square View, I'm more than willing to help you with them. What I found out when I was trying to marry things, I spent a ton of time trying to marry, like you say, manually. I found out when I started using Square View, not only on my computer, but also on my smartphone, it does not like the apostrophe for don't rock the jukebox,
right,
or don't make it brown nose blue. So you eliminate the apostrophe. Eliminate it.
Yeah.
And in more cases than not, about 90% of the time, if you name your lyrics at the top what it is, and you've pointed to that in your marriaging, it'll find it 90% of the time automatically, and you won't have to manual marry it. Exactly. But I'm here to help you if you want to.
Okay, Rick says we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I think that, what?
Potty pooper.
Yeah, he is that.
It's me. I know that, speaking for myself, I'm sure Don and Brad would be happy too, but if you got questions, tackle us in, maybe out front of the bathroom, don't, but, or at the bar.
I agree.
But if we're just, sitting there looking thirsty,
Dennis had the right.
I'd be happy to do that. Anyway, so this was the Birds of a Feather continuation of digital music at the 44th CALLERLAB Convention in Mesa, Arizona. Today is, I should have done this at first. No. Today is, state the date.
Too late.
And this is the name of the session. I am your name.
I'm good. I do want to say one other thing, and I just want to say this to you because I know that music is expensive and we all have a lot to do with. Visit my site. I sell 15 song packs for $75. You won't get it cheaper than that. And you get to pick the songs.
For those mathematically challenged, that's $5 a song. That's a pretty good deal, I'll tell you that.
We have on our site, just, if you're just starting out, I know Wade's got one of these too, but it's a complete library. It's a little it's over 200 songs, and in my case, it's $349 for the whole thing. And that's on all 3 labels too.
Mine's at $250.
This is cheaper.
This is cheaper. But before we wrap up, I do want to say one thing. Well, this was the digital music presentation. Today is April 11, 2017, right? So and the moderator's name was Rick Hampton. My name is Brad Caldwell, and the other panelist was Don Wood. We want to thank you for attending this. We hope it has been beneficial to all of you, but I want to say a special thank you to Rick and Don for offering up free music. I don't record. I mean, I record for somebody else sometimes, but I don't. But yeah, I'll just go by. What is it? Two songs, about 80 pieces of music from something. No, I'm not going to do that. I like you guys. I don't like you that much. But I think we need a big hand for Don and Rick.
So if you have laptop here today, come see me and I can give you the stuff from me today. If you do not, and by here today I mean here somewhere in this hotel, okay? If not, you need to also send me an email to producer@finetunerecords.com and say I attended both sessions like a good little person. Yeah, good little caller. There you go. Anyway, I was at both sessions, and I'll give you a couple of pieces of music, and maybe might be one label, might be the other label. If I know you, I might stiff you. I just wanted to add one more thing on this. Yeah.
I just wanted to add one more thing on this. I want to thank you all for your support of CALLERLAB. And for me, that's a pretty big thing because I've been an ACA member also for 25 years. I belong to both organizations, and I'm here to tell you my goal is to build the bridge. So we're all working together because this activity is so important, we can't afford not to.
And you'll notice there's 2 ACA members, I'm also a GCA member and a CALLERLAB member. And so that means I pay a lot of dues.
Yeah. So thank you for coming. If I can help in any way, feel free to ask.
And Rick was gonna give us email.
And my email address for Fine Tune, Goldwing, and Sharpshooter is producer@fintunerecords.com.
If you want my email address, you're welcome to it. I'm not sending you anything, but I'll give you my email address if you want it. It's called onewell@live.com. And if I ever call another good dance, I have to change it.
All right, and if you got your laptop here, I've got about 10 minutes, so get up here. And yes, I'm gonna boot yours up so we can fix that.
Thank you. Not right. Appreciate you. Yep.
Yeah, I will.
You got a fired up.
I do have a list. I've got a copy of the list.
What's that?
I'll run back on. Oh, wait. Greg? Yeah, yes, I could put some over here.
Get it that quicker than I
Okay, Don?
It sounds like he's someone that could help you even more. Yeah.
Before I can go and download it. Thank you.
That's what I was gonna do, is that whatever went wrong.
What's happening?
Well, I tested it.
I appreciate it. What? No, the first thing I do
Oh, thank you.
is I take my folder. Oh, thank you. I take my folder that says
You get to pick his brain whenever you want, right? That's right. That's a good deal. No, I sat there and I go,
Square view.
do this.
I go back.
He's very calm and you're like.
Very lyrics. I copied the configuration frame and all this.
Somehow John got away with the.
Just don't slap
What happened with us, we did the new download in January, and the lyrics file that downloads is a single little file.
Yep, that's
It
the
doesn't let
database.
me see the 9,000 individual
That's the
ones.
database, but there's a separate file on Squareview.
That's right.
The website, there's a separate file that says
Put
Q
that in,
sheets.
put that in, and it comes in as a single
No,
file.
there's a separate one that says Q sheets. You got the database, it comes with it. So the database is what you got. So under the search for music, you can tell it, search for a directory.
Well, it says it is here. That's why I thought you
Search
said
the database, or you can go to new document. So you want to, I mean, I keep the directory because I have the database and the directory. I
You'll-
keep the directory because I change lyrics.
Well, we're getting the cue sheets, it's just that when I want to go in and look, like you've got one, and it's got one that he likes to marry to, and it doesn't label, so I'm not changing.
So you make a donation to get that,
Can't find them, and I'm trying to find things that are coming up, but they're all
If
just,
you look at Brown, you can see
yeah, I just see one little file, and it's tiny.
it's the database file.
Yeah, and it doesn't
So
look that.
I know that out on SPU, there is a separate file that varies
Well, yeah, that's all in your
lyrics files.
Put it in, but it can go where I told it to go. And seriously, it's out there somewhere, and it's not. Go back and look at it.
Okay, if you have your stuff here today, I'll be happy to walk through. For you.
It's okay.
And there's nothing on
This is
this.
like, it was strange. All right, so we're gonna try and bring us up. I jumped right back to Rick and I.
No, you're stuck, Don, you can't. I am, Rick's got that's what I do. I'm going around too. Me too. Thank you, Don. It was very informative, too bad.
No, I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I use Squareview on my phone too for backup. Yeah, but worse fall.
Yep.
Now, if you use a tablet, you don't have Wi-Fi. It doesn't work great.
Say that again. If I use a tablet?
Oh, yeah, Android.
Yeah, she was
Android.
the
If
previous.
you're using your Windows, you're okay.
She's sitting right here. She's sitting. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or either.
Because they can't access the internet. But the Windows will find more than Android.
That's right. See her?
I can put it on the directory. So I put my
Yeah.
device on the phone.
I'll
That directory has alerts.
Yeah, maybe I need to put them under Squareview directory.
Yes.
Maybe you'll find it instead of.
Yeah, I need directions on how to use that. Android is fine.
Yeah, on the phone, it's awesome.
Right. But really, it's my backup. It's my laptop. So I drive to a dance.
All right.
In my bag is my laptop.
Don, don't leave till you show me how to phone.
All right. Well, if I get one that says Tim
In
Mariner.
my bag, or bag.
All right, thanks.
Hey, if you can't find her, I'd be willing to give you one of my other ones.
All right.
It's a
Well,
tablet.
I don't want to do that.
And
I'll
when
find
those two
her.
fail,
I'd be willing.
then it's the phone.
Oh, I gotta go up and get bumped now.
Oh, yeah, but I also use the phone on the plane if I want to listen.
Yeah.
You can work on something.
Same to your headset, you're good to go.
Yep.
Now, gentlemen, thanks for
Oh, there's
attending.
one more thing. It's got the
Hey,
option
Don,
there to do
seriously, I
karaoke.
want you at some point today, tonight.
Have you got it down?
Yeah, I got it on it.
It's got the option to do karaoke calls. I can't ever get it to work.
Oh, on where?
Perfect.
I haven't seen it. When do you do it on Squareview? You do karaoke?
No, I can't ever get it to work.
You gotta have CDG files.
Yeah, I have the CDG.
Well, I can't.
I've never seen anybody use it.
I don't have any fun. I do a lot of concerts. I use Squareview as my karaoke viewer. And I
Installing
patch over
device
to a
right
TV
now.
screen that's on the stage.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, on the laptop.
See, I'm just gonna drop these in.
Yeah, on anything.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I've never been able to get.
You gotta put your CD files in the same folder as your music files.
Oh, it can't be in its own folder?
No.
But up at
So they have to
karaoke
match
calls.
up, they have to match right up with your. So I have a folder, my first sample, Bull Rush Records. Bring out everything you see with the CDGs. Gold Rush is in a separate folder. Because all those CDGs are in it too. So if you're gonna do karaoke music, the directory has to have the song and the CDG file.
Touchpad.
I'll try that.
I guarantee it'll work, I use it all the time.
Alright.
So what did you want to, we'll do that tonight, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
I'm fine tonight, I got up to 1
Get on, see if you can get online here. What is playing? Yeah, see if you can get online. If you can't, I want you to Google lame encoding. Did you read your screen? That was not.
I got up to, practice that I bought, we had sharpshooter in my tune. And it was up to, the ring telephone, and then I bought extra one back to that.
Okay, Ring was on gold one this year.
Yeah, I got whatever that patent was.
167, it was probably 2 years old, right? It was, yeah, there was,
That'd be about right, because I started buying the music before I started.
that's okay. I remember you.
Online. Well, then on Facebook I see you all the time too.
am on Facebook. Obviously, I have no life. How you doing, Mark? Do you get anything out of all this crap?
I got a lot out of all this.
Good.
Didn't get what I came in for, but
What was it you came in for?
how to use my phone as a backup.
As a backup?
I figure I don't want to use it as my primary. But how to organize my music on my phone so I can. I played around with it and screwed it up. Oh yeah, I've got one.
My experiences has been with the phone. I have never, with the Square View phone, I have never been able to successfully marry a lyric to the thing. But I'm told that's because my files are Android.
I'm not so much worried about getting the lyrics. I've put music on there and then taken it off, and then it's still listed on there, but the music's not there, so.
Yeah, that Android, I honestly would not use, an Android phone as a backup.
I'll have two computers that I take.
Yeah, but what I would do though is I would get yourself a free Dropbox and throw up, 25 or 30 songs in a folder, because that's a reasonable size to be able to download. And then if you do get in trouble somewhere, you have the app on your phone, you can download it to your phone and use Square View on your phone to finish a dance if you had to. Or if you had a little more time, you could download the whole caboodle to there.
So you're downloading Square View right onto your phone?
Yeah, they make an app for your Android.
All right, so this, these were both done by ladies. So just outside your door, which is a Dolly Parton song. It just came out. Just came out. And then the other one also just came out recently. That's brand new. That's recent. Okay, and I think Emma Horsfield from UK recorded Wendy Vandermeer.
I know.
You want some music?
Yes, that'd be awesome.
All right, thank you.
All right, you on the internet yet?
No.
Get on the internet if you can. There should be a Marriott lobby. Howdy.
So Don told me how to solve my problem, and I went upstairs to solve my problem, and it didn't work.
Don lied to you. He does that. I honestly think maybe he's getting obscene. What was your problem?
In Square View,
Okay.
I don't have a loop button. He says it's because my music is not set to hold downs in those windows. So I set my music to hold downs in those windows, and I still don't have a loop button. But I was hoping you were still going to be here.
Yeah, hold on. We'll see if we can figure it out for you. What kind of stuff do you like?
Oh, I'm pretty flexible. Something that you don't have to have a great voice for. So there you go.
How about Ventura Highway? And watching you is a great record. Google the video